a second ago that says, guys, who's going to be the starting quarterback at Ole Miss? It was from Cody. He said, honest opinion, who wins the starting quarterback job at Ole Miss? I'm thinking Dart. He mimics Matt Corral in a lot of ways. I think it's unfair to compare anybody right now to Matt Corral. I mean, I get what you're saying, that there are things that Jackson Dart does that remind you of Matt Corral. We, and I'm using we very collectively, Michael Borky, me, probably most of you, probably most Ole Miss fans, and maybe most of the folks in the SEC, did not value enough the arm talent that existed with Matt Corral. If you go back and watch a highlight package of Matt Corral and you watch him throw the football, the way the ball comes out of his hand, the quickness with which he releases the football, and the strength to both push it down the field, not necessarily always throw a fastball if it was a swing route or something over the middle. But to me, it's not just the ability to throw it 65 yards in the air for a deep ball on a fly route. I mean, there's something that's very magical about that, and it makes us ooh and ah. But it's the deep post at 25 yards where he hits the guy in stride. It's the corner route where it takes a little bit longer to develop, and it's a long throw. It's the out route to the opposite hash on the far sideline where you've got to really have some juice on it. Matt Corral could do – there was not a throw that Matt Corral not only couldn't make but didn't make look easy. So that's piece number one, but I understand what you're saying. There's some things that Jackson Dart does that maybe remind you of Matt Corral. Matt wasn't afraid to go after a big play. He believed in his arm strength and knew that he could fit it into a tight window, but he became smarter with the football as his career developed. So are you talking about things that mimic what Matt Corral did a year ago or 3 years ago when he first stepped on the field, 4 years ago when he first stepped on the field? Because if you want to say, there are a lot of similarities between where Matt Corral was as a freshman or a redshirt freshman with where Jackson Dart now is in his second year of college football, sure, I'll buy that. I don't think the comparison is fair, though, with where Matt Corral finished and where Jackson Dart is right now. Your biggest question, though, was who wins the starting quarterback job. I've kind of changed on this a little bit. At the beginning of camp, kind of coming out of the summer, I honestly thought that Luke Altmaier might just do enough to win the job. Take care of the football, make smart plays, understand the offense, get it to the right place. But it feels like Jackson Dart's going to win the job. As long as he avoids giving it to the other team. If Jackson Dart can, and look, every quarterback throws interceptions, right? I mean, some.
Especially young ones.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But if you told me that Jackson Dart was going to finish the year with 28 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions and throw for 3,500 yards, I would say, as a second-year quarterback, first year in the SEC, you sign up for that. I think you'll sign up for it and be okay with that. And does that mean that there's a 3-interception game somewhere along the way? Probably so. And do you lose that game because he throws 3 interceptions in a game? Very possibly, depending on who it comes against. But does that also mean that there's a 4-touchdown pass game somewhere along the way where he goes out and wins you a game and you're reminded of why he's won the job? Yeah, I think that's possible as well.
Yeah. It's been 3 years since you've broken in a new quarterback. I talked to a few friends about this. Whoever wins the job, and I'm with you, I do think it's Jackson Dart. I think he elevates the ceiling of the team, and based on how he coaches, without talking to him myself, it feels like Lane Kiffin, the way he coaches games, he values maximizing ceiling as opposed to minimizing risk. That's why he goes for it on 4th down so much, because it increases their chances of winning games and scoring touchdowns, and that's the most important thing to him, is we're trying to win here, not lose by less. So that's always been my rationale. But It's been a while since Ole Miss has had to break in a new quarterback, and I hope that fans are prepared for the scenario that you just laid out. A 19-year-old quarterback playing in the SEC for the first time is going to have a game where he makes mistakes that make you think, what were you doing? What did you see? Why did you throw that ball? What are you doing? He's going to have those games. It's going to happen. And what you can't do, because you can correct me if I'm wrong, is immediately start talking about the other guy, regardless of who wins the job. If it's Luke Altmaier and against Kentucky he throws 2 picks, you can't suddenly, Dart's better, go to Dart, you stink, go to Dart, because that bleeds into the locker room. That did during the Corral-Plumlee dynamic. The players heard that and felt that. They did. Because every time when Matt Corral was learning how to play in Lane Kiffin's offense and he would make a mistake, what would happen? You were actually at the games. You didn't get to see the broadcast every week. Every bad throw.
Camera went straight to John Rice Plumlee.
The camera went straight to Plumlee every time. Every single 3 and out, every interception, they would talk about it and the camera would cut to him. And that stuff, based on somebody that I talked to that would know, the players heard that and felt that. It bled into the locker room some. That can't happen here. Because no matter which quarterback wins the job, they are going to have the game that you mentioned. They're going to probably lose a game this year by making mistakes. It's going to happen. They're 19 years old. It's going to happen.
Bo on the C Spire text line says, I think Lane Kiffin's offense requires a gunslinger. I think that points to Dart. I hear where you're coming from, Bo, but I'm not sure that I believe that. I think Lane Kiffin's offense is a bit of a chameleon. It changes to the strengths of his team. Whether that's he has an elite quarterback and so he runs an offense through the quarterback, or there is an elite receiver like Alabama had with Calvin Ridley, and he basically runs the offense through Calvin Ridley. Or you've got a great dual threat guy, and so you take advantage of the ability to run the football. Or you've got Derrick Henry, and so he carries it 300 times in a season. I don't think Lane Kiffin is locked into his offense is fill in the blank. It's whatever it needs to be. We'll talk high